Well, welcome to Vermiculture by Robin's Nest. I'm actually Soil Be Built, trading as Vermiculture by Robin's Nest. But I'm sitting with an interesting situation today where I need to harvest 200 DM for a client that likes their vermicast to be fine filtered, because they create a product using a fine filtered. Now, the current existing vermicast compost, well, it's mostly castings at this stage, is full with bits and pieces of sticks and stones, and there's a bit of clay that's in here. That also helps with the moisture retention, but essentially I need to take this and make this fine enough to go through my filterer machine. So I'm laying things out, letting them dry out a little bit. But you might ask yourself, how do I remove the majority of the worms from the vermicompost and the castings so as to not have to deal with the issues of worms getting damaged or destroyed by the sunshine? Now, this is my filtering machine, and essentially it's just bicycle wheels that I've put a spindle down the middle and created a frame for it. And in the early days I used to just hang it in the trees, but this thing spins around, but it's only got a meshing inside here that's, I think it's 3 by 3 millimeter, so it's equivalent to, I think it's an 1/8 inch or a 16th inch. I think it's an 1/8 inch that the American version will use. So my filterer works with let's just take some castings and pop them in, and I'll just show you how it works so you can see. So I'll literally throw it in one side, give it a turn, and all the castings, I don't know if you can see them falling down, they'll come through and land inside, and the larger pieces that are bigger than the meshing will end up falling out, and they'll just go back into the worm farm and can continue to be processed. It's mostly a moisture content reason that they're staying in the keloid structure from the acid, not the acid, let's try that again, take two. It's mostly the keloid structure from the worms, the excretions from the worms, that makes the granules so beautiful and clumpy like that, but I need to have them smaller. So I've got a situation where it's incredibly wet here still. The bottom of this bin is crazy wet. So what I've done is I've laid out some shade cloth on top of the existing worm farm, and I'm throwing out, and I'll just give you an idea, there should be quite a few worms in here, and I'm going to show you what happens and how I can separate them. Yeah, there's a good example. So I've got a handful of worms and vermicast here, and I'm going to take them and I'm going to put them, like I've done with the others, I'm going to throw them out on top of this shade cloth, break it up a little, and expose these worms to the sunshine. So what are they going to do? They hate sunshine. They're going to dig, and I end up with literally worm free, maybe still a few here and there that have managed to find spaces, but as I give it a bit of a whirl, so they're exposed to more sunlight, and they will then hide and dive away, go through the shade cloth and right directly into the vermicompost that's underneath here. So that castings, those vermicompost was almost completed. It's almost pure casting, and that's what I'm trying to dry out here. So I mean, you can see the worms have almost disappeared from that little pile I put. There's still a couple that are over here, and I think if we follow him for just a moment, he will find a way off that piece of vermicast that he's sitting with, and he will more than likely, within a very short space of time, dig down into through the shade cloth and into the substrate below him. So let's see if he does. Sun's not incredibly strong or incredibly hot at this point, so he's not stressed too much. you put them into a hot sun and they'll start to writhe and wriggle like snakes. But he doesn't seem to be too perturbed. So I'll just every now and then come past here, give it a bit of a mix up so that they're exposed to the top again, and those that haven't moved already will go move. It's an interesting little grub. It's either a cutworm or a rhino beetle grub, and he's part and parcel of my whole ecosystem. So as long as he remains within the worm farm, I don't have a problem with him being around. I'll just throw him in, let him eat the dry areas around it. There's no major competition for food because I don't really work with much in the way of food. Yes, obviously I put in food on a regular basis, but it's nowhere near as much as a carbon content that's in here. So as you can see, this is still only about 2 months old, maybe 3 months old. Horse manure, coffee grounds, leaf mold, cardboard boxes, eggshell as a pH buffer and to assist them with their swallowing. And yeah, this is what my worm farming is looking like. Give you an idea. Nice, busy, happy, healthy workers, good and fat, and loving being in this substrate. It's a beautiful medium for them to live in. A lot of little springtails, those little white ones that are moving around there, springtails. Yeah, so that's me, and this is David in his back garden for vermiculture. I'll turn this around. Yeah, so this is David in his back garden in Cape Town, in Plumstead, signing off and asking you please to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe and share it. I mean, tell your mates about it if they are learning about worm farming. There's about 15 or 20 other videos that they can watch done by me on all sorts of different experiments. And yeah, please share with them and let them know that there's somebody out there who struggles and has gone through and is doing the same thing as they're trying to do and coming up with the same issues that they have. And have a look at this guava tree behind me. Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know if anybody's watched some of my earlier videos. You'll see that last year my guavas as full size were that size. This year I'm managing to succeed in getting them at least twice the size they were last year. Far more of them, and it's because I think of the leachate that's coming from the worm farms that have been here now for about a year, and as you can see, everything around them is all looking really positive and has grown in size tremendously since I've had the worm farm in the back garden. In fact, even the grass that I showed you in the last video has managed to come on beautifully. So yeah, that's me. That's what I'm doing today. I am filtering out all these big pieces, and I am turning my vermicompost and vermicast into fine granular pieces that are what my client, he makes a product using my vermicast and has done so for the last probably 5 years. Right, thanks guys, signing off.